Okay, cool. I've got a podcast that I'm going to be recording this week, and I wanted to show you how I do hours of prep work for the podcast appearances that I do in just a few minutes. So I'm going to show you a couple tools and techniques, but I'm literally starting from zero. All I'm starting with is a blank Claude screen, and then a couple tabs open with previous episodes of the podcast that I'm going to be a guest on. So I'm going to come here. And what most people would do, we're going to be on the Crazy Wisdom podcast, which is a great podcast for business, AI, tech, all sorts of stuff. But what most people would do is they'd go to the last couple episodes and they would watch them, right? And that's what I loaded up here. But I don't have, 53 minutes, 57 minutes, hour 5. I don't have 3 hours to sit here and listen. So the next best thing would be to kind of click around or look at different examples of kind of the subtitles and stuff like that. But I don't want to do that either. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the transcripts. I'm going to go to this tool, Tactic, and I'm going to get the video transcripts for all of them. And I'm going to, while that's running, open up and start a new Claude project. And I'm going to call this Crazy Wisdom Prep. And I'm going to load these transcripts into the Claude project. For some reason, the transcript didn't load. Let me see. Show transcript. Okay, so this tool didn't work, but usually it does. This one was just done a couple hours ago, maybe. So I'm actually just going to copy and paste the transcript. And so I'm just pasting the transcript in with the title, no editing whatsoever. And then I'm going to do it for the next 2 episodes. So let's see if it works on this older episode. And this is what I use for all of them. Okay, let's see if it gets this transcript. Still running. Okay, not getting these transcripts from this channel. Not really sure why, but it doesn't really matter because most channels have the show transcript enabled. And so I'm just going to, once again, copy and paste this entire transcript. And what this is basically going to do is it's going to provide context for what talking with the host will be like. And so we're going to do this. And I specifically picked AI-oriented videos because obviously I'm going to be talking about AI. So let me do this one more and get this other transcript. And then we can actually start working in the Claude project and asking questions to the transcript to figure out what to talk about. So I'm going to say, I've provided you 3 video transcripts. Write an outline of all the topics that are covered in each video, then write short analysis on the interviewers, or I'm just going to say the host, interview style. Once again, it's an LLM, so typos don't matter. And so if I go in here, I'm going to instantly understand what am I getting myself into, what kind of topics is he familiar with. I can see already that these topics are not defined well enough. So I'm going to already start. Okay, let's see. Stuart, the host, is he's curious, he's flexible, interdisciplinary approach. So I'm going to ask, how would you prepare to talk about AI adoption across frontline workers in an interview with Stuart? And I know that's not perfect, but we're just going to go with it. Okay, so let's see what Sonnet is thinking of. Okay, research current trends. Understand the technology. I've already passed all these. Consider the human impact. Know the business perspective. So I'm going to say, what are some contrarian takes that he would find interesting and worth exploring? Let's see. AI adoption might actually increase human touch in frontline work. That's actually a real take that I have. Could lead to a renaissance of craft and artisanal work. Once again, these are great takes that I mostly primarily agree with. And so there's a couple things I can do here. I can say, take the best 4 of these takes and shape them into a compelling narrative that I can present on my podcast appearance. Let's start there. So once again, we're shaping our own narrative, and I've got other Claude projects that have a repository of my writing, of my tweets, that I could actually take those same YouTube transcripts, load them into that Claude project, and infuse a lot more of my own personal spin. But this is just, for explanatory purposes. So I'm going to say for each of these, write a quippy and memorable one-liner that summarizes the take. So now I'm even writing, marketing materials that I can memorize in advance of the podcast. If you don't want to do something as, if you think this is robotic or whatever, that's fine. But you can also take your own quippy one-liners, which I would recommend having, and put them in here and have AI improve it. So AI isn't replacing the human touch. It's giving us a high-tech high five. It's actually kind of funny. Thanks to AI, the most happening place in tech could just be a cornfield. Kind of interesting. AI, the ultimate middle management diet. So I'm going to say these are a bit too cliche, and I don't feel accurately represent the ideas deeply. Try again. So once again, we give the AI feedback and it improves. And so let's see. In the AI era, the assembly line becomes the front line of innovation. The great organizational leveler. So these are kind of interesting. I think they're more thought-provoking than ready, but we can kind of work with them. And so I'm going to ask, assess the host's overall AI literacy and make a vocab list of terms he would be familiar with, so I speak at his level and he can understand. So I don't want to use a ton of jargon. So I want using terms that he's already utilized to understand what he understands. So he knows large language models. He knows machine learning. He knows AI bias, AI assistance, knowledge graphs. So I can even ask something like, does he know about context windows? Context windows are really important to me in explaining how people can understand what they can do with AI. And it says it's pretty likely that he knows what context windows are. So now I can accurately assess the AI literacy level of himself and infer with that with the audience and understand and tailor my arguments and my points to exactly what he and his audience is going to resonate with. So this was just a really simple example, but hopefully it's instructive of how in 10 or 15 minutes you can do a lot of prep work. So I'm going to do one last thing. So I'm going to say, generate a preparation document for this podcast to guide my appearance based on all we've learned today. So now I'm generating a document that I can go back, review, prep, hammer home those story points that I want to hit on the podcast. And once again, we've done this all in 10 or 15 minutes. We understand his interview style. We understand what terms he wants to talk about, what he likes, what my key narrative is, what the main points are. And I can take this and, be adequately prepared in just 10 or 15 minutes by taking a couple transcripts, having a quick conversation, and learning. So I hope this guide was helpful and instructional for a couple things that you can do with AI to prepare for a podcast appearance.